Alright, so I haven't made a video in a while. I know over the weekend there was the Hurricane Matthew, so I did have some trouble kind of having access to internet. Because of that, it affected where I am in Virginia. But here I am now in my friend's house. So today's question of the day comes from Roberto Zuluaga. I hope I said that right. And his question is, what's it like living in this ship? So I am living in this ship, and every once in a while, I crash at my friend's house. So right now, right, my ship is under repair. Okay, so the living condition, in my opinion, is not where it really needs to be. To give you some example, right? This is kind of besides the construction wise, but for some reason, okay, I don't know why, but they always have the berthing is kind of the word term for where a bunch of people sleep. The berthing is cold. When you sleep, it's cold. I wear my sweater, 4 blankets just to stay moderately warm. Okay, 4 blankets and my sweatshirt. I think it's about 60 or high 50 degrees in the berthing. For whatever reason, I asked one of the person, like, why is it so cold? And they said, well, there's a lot of guys and it gets very smelly, right? And if you have it too hot, too warm, the smell kind of, rises. But when you have it cold, the smell goes away. That's kind of the explanation that I heard. I requested to the higher ups that the berthing temperature, raised up at least till 70. 70 is still cold enough, it's in between. But for some reason, some people can sleep just perfectly fine, shirt off, sleep perfectly fine in the 60-degree weather. But for me, I can't take the cold. I need my sweater and 4 blankets just to stay warm. So that's one thing. You're going to experience that to some degree when you are in boot camp. Okay, boot camp, it's going to be cold, and the blanket, it's not the best blanket. So most likely, like me, I'm kind of sick too. You're going to be sleeping with your sweats and a blanket, and maybe a jacket if you so choose to. But anyway, going back to what I said, I live, and my ship is going under repair construction. There are times at night, and this isn't, you're not going to go through this, for me, I am kind of on a rare occasion that I'm in a ship where it's kind of getting repaired. There are times when, there are construction workers, we call them contractors, that they use the drill, maybe at 10 at night, 12 at midnight, that use the drill. It's extremely loud. There was a point, I think this was the second day when I lived in the ship, I was just upset, right? I was not happy because for, ever since I got off work for, 6 hours straight, I couldn't, there wasn't any place that was silent, right? It was always constantly drilling going on, so I couldn't really, I couldn't really just sit down and just kind of think, right? Because there was drilling everywhere. So that's one thing, right? Some middle of the night, I sometimes wake up because of drilling, or there's a bunch of people slamming the door instead of just lightly closing the door, having some common courtesy. But one more thing, because my ship is being repaired, there are occasions when they paint the walls, right? We call them bulkheads, and the ceiling is called the overhead. And when they do paint a space meaning a room or area, whatever the place is, the paint fumes get into the berthing, and at the middle of the night, I'll be sleeping, and I smell some kind of oil initially, and I'm like, man, what is this oil smell? And I wake up, open up my curtain racks, and just paint fumes just hit me right there. It's high levels of paint fumes, which, it's not kind of the healthiest thing in the world, but I couldn't sleep there, went somewhere else and slept. So I've had that occasion. So for me, living in this ship when it's being repaired, it's not the most desirable thing, but the way I look at it, it's fun. It's a fun thing to go through at a moment in your life, right? I'm only going to be doing it for a year and a half, or a couple of years. I'm not going to be doing it forever, right? I think, in my opinion, it's one of those experiences that I will look back, 20 years down the road, and I'll say, you know what, it sucked at that moment, but it was fun. So you're going to have a different experience than me, right? Because you might be not on a carrier, you might be on a frigate or a submarine, whatever the case may be, and you're going to have different living conditions than me, right? My berthing, it has about 200 people, right? Your berthing might only have 10 people, right? So that is my experience with living in the berthing. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great Navy day.